Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Oscar's Cozy Corner. As 2025 rapidly approaches, I thought that it could actually be fun to take a quick trip down memory lane and go back and rank all of the star paths that we've had throughout this year. Now, I know that rankings are often subjective as they're opinions based, and that is exactly what this video is going to be. I'm just going to be sharing my thoughts on each star path, what I liked, what I didn't like so much, and I'm going to place them in my very own rankings on Tier Maker. I'm mostly basing these opinions on the rewards that we got rather than the actual star path tasks because the majority of them are the same or at least in the same sphere, aka very grindy. But let me know down in the comments if you agree at the end, maybe you disagree, perhaps we have totally different opinions, and that would of course be wonderful as well. I do actually have this little comparison sheet that I made, and this is really the only quantifiable statistic that I can use to help my rankings as it gives kind of an overview of which star path had what type of reward. But even then, just because one had a higher number of furniture items, for example, that doesn't mean that the furniture items were any good. Obviously, please do note that I am basing this chart off the premium star path, not the free version, so a big thanks to the Dreamlight Valley wiki for the diligent updating of this information. They are always keeping the community informed, and it is a very valuable resource. Looking at this chart, you can kind of see, I didn't put a total on, okay? So I didn't put a total at the bottom just because actually the number of items for me doesn't take into account what the item quality was like. So just because something had like a high number of total items doesn't mean that it was the best value, I suppose. I mean, the Day at Disney one, for example, had 7 motifs in it. So if I were to do a total at the bottom, the 7 motif kind of like skews it a little bit, whereas the night show only has, well, 0. But I did find it interesting that actually Gameloft seemed to be pretty consistent with the amount of furniture that they give per star path. Obviously, Frost and Fairies has 21 because it did introduce those bonus items. Obviously, we got the recolored items, but on the whole, they're pretty standard with what they give us in each star path. They have reduced the amount of motifs, which I think has gone down well in the community because I know that those were kind of like taking up a lot of space in the Star Path reward, so it is nice to see them responding to feedback, and obviously the Night Show actually had none at all. However, one thing I did think about the Night Show, going back to it, I'm surprised that they didn't give us any face paint, any makeup. You know, we do usually get like 1 or 2, but I feel like the Night Show would have been the perfect opportunity to give us some like rock makeup, you know, thinking Kiss, things like that. It was just interesting to me that they didn't give us anything for that particular one, but obviously we do know it was meant to be shorter, and we did get the extra. Oh, I should say that we got a page less of rewards, but actually, we didn't actually get that much less. We did not get a dream style in that one. I think that was one of the first star paths that didn't have a character dream style in it, which was interesting. However, we did get a standard amount of furniture and actually more clothing than we usually get. So I know that the night show was kind of controversial, but looking back on it, it is interesting to see when you look at the whole year as a whole, it wasn't actually that different to the other star paths that we got. I mean, Lovely Monsters did have quite a selection of stuff in it. We did get 2 dream styles. We got like multiple face paint and makeups. We got flooring and wallpaper. I think that was the major one that had sort of like the most content in it, which is interesting because I don't really think about Lovely Monsters that often. I think because some of the plushies, the smaller plushies, took up some of these furniture numbers. But yeah, it's an interesting one to look at it all together. And of course, Frost and Fairies is the first one that got a house style with it. So I will be interested to see if with the star paths going forward, we continue to get house styles and we continue to get bonus rewards, or whether this might have been like a winter one-off. They did say introducing sort of like a new extra. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with the next star path. As I said, this is just kind of like an overview. I mean, this is some semi-quantifiable data. It's not really anything hard and fast. I just thought it was interesting to compare what we got. And as I said, I got this information from the Dreamlight Valley wiki, which is always super, super helpful. But what do you think? Looking at this, are you surprised? Is there anything that you think, actually, I thought that we got more than that, or I thought that we got less than that? Because looking at it on the whole, all of them were pretty standard, which I think is a great benchmark for Game Off. They're not like shorting us on one or giving us extra on the other. Obviously, like I said, Frost and Fairies is a bit of an exception, but they're trying something new. So yeah, it's just an interesting little comparison chart and something that I thought I would throw together so we could take a quick look at before I dive into my rankings. Something else that I put together quickly on my Plaza floating island was just a kind of an overview of each star path. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that this is not every item. Some of them come with flooring, wallpapers, some of them come with inside only items. I know that Tiana's had a bunch of inside only items like the hanging chair and stuff like that. So this is not like an extensive look at the star path, but I thought I used more space than I thought I had. So I thought they were going to take up much more room, but actually, each star path didn't take up that much space on the floating island, but I thought it was really interesting to see everything in one place. So starting from the left, it kind of goes in clockwise. We've got Lovely Monsters, we've got A Day at Disney, Majesty and Magnolias, Dapper Delights, The Night Show, and then, of course, Frost and Fairies. So this is really 2024 in a nutshell. And I just find that really, really interesting. Obviously, I've not got the clothing on. I do have some little split screens that I'm going to do when I do the rankings in a second, just to remind me while I'm actually doing the rankings. But yeah, I just thought when I placed these down, it was really, really interesting to get a sense of what was included in each star path, like as a full overview. You know, like this is a whole year's worth of content for the game, but also for the devs. You know, they made all this, they gave us the star paths, we earned them all. It's a fascinating look at how much was in each one, and also the size of the items, and also the varying degrees of what we got in terms of items. Obviously, A Day at Disney was the biggest by far because we got such big pieces from it. You know, the rides, the Toontown Fire Station, even the camel. This one has a lot of kind of like diverse stuff in it, as did Lovely Monsters. I feel like this is probably the most diverse. It was kind of mixing Monsters Inc. and, well, Valentine's Day together. And then they started to like really hone in on specific themes. So obviously Majesty and Magnolias, we got all of the Mulan inspired stuff. Same as Dapper Delights with the New Orleans. The Night Show, again, even though it's kind of diverse, we did get very, very similar items. So it was all obviously music and rock themed. However, I will say, I know that this was kind of an unpopular choice for a star path, but I actually really like some of these items. The water fountains, the fire, the fireworks, I feel like they're all reusable items. I know stuff like the blimp and the big billboard are not, but even the lights, there were a number of reusable functional items in the star path, which I really loved. And then, of course, the most cohesive of all was this Frost and Fairy star path. All right, so here is my little tier list. Instead of doing like S, A, B, C, D, I've just gone with some like Disney themed ones. So I went with like Happily Ever After, A Dream Come True, Just Keep Swimming, Bibbidi Bobbidi Basic, and Poor Unfortunate Souls. So this is going to be my ranking. This is like top tier. Absolutely love the star path, and this one, of course, is inspired by Ursula. But it's I could give this a miss, or I would not do this again if it came up and I had the chance to do it again for the first time. So yeah, those are my rankings. We'll go through each one by one. I'm going to go through sort of like in chronological order. So this was obviously at the start of the year. I've not included Royal Winter because it did actually start in December 2023. So I'm starting with Lovely Monsters. We're going to work our way through A Day at Disney, Majesty Magnolias, Dapper Delights, The Night Show, and then Frost and Fairies. So starting with Lovely Monsters. Now, right off the bat, I did really like this concept. I thought it was interesting the way that they'd merged both of the themes together. This was my very first star path, so I was kind of like having that very first sort of like introduction to the star path and the rewards, and I thought it was great because obviously I'd never done one before. But looking back, I'm like, it was kind of a mixed bag for me. I mean, there's things that I do love in here. There's things that I really love about this star path, specifically the archway, the flowery archway, of course. I think the lanterns are very popular, or they were at least until we sort of got the fireflies. Other than that, I don't really use much of the items, like the bathtub. I've never really used the dinner date set. The plushies are okay, but like I said earlier, they kind of took up a bunch of room in the furniture tab because there was 3 separate plushies. So I don't know. It felt like an okay star path. We did get a couple of nice outfits. You know, I'm wearing one, and I do love the companion. So just because of that, the companion like kind of makes me want to put it somewhere up here. But on the whole, I'm kind of between Bibbidi Bobbidi Basic and Just Keep Swimming, because there's stuff I love about it, but there's stuff that I think could have been more interesting. I mean, we got Celia's hair as well. However, I've never really seen that used outside of that, even though that was such a fun item to get. Like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna. Oh, this is really harsh. What a harsh first ranking. I'm gonna put it in Bibbidi Bobbidi Basic for now. Um, yeah, that seems mean, but maybe when I place the others, we'll kind of like come up with come up with a final ranking. All right, moving on to a day at Disney now. I'm a sucker for parks items. I'm a sucker for Disney in general. So for me, this Star Path was like a dream. However, I know in the community, it was kind of like another Park Star Path because I think that there was a Park Star Path the year before. It might have been the Wonder of Pixar. I can't remember if it was exactly parks themed or not. Obviously, this one was purely parks themed. However, I have used a number of these items in my builds. Like I've used the pretzel stand, I've used the ice cream cart. There are things that I've used. I've never used the Toontown stuff. So I've never used like the lamppost, I've never used the fire station, and I don't really use the rides. However, I'm not done with my theme park approach just yet. I did think that the Toy Story stuff was cool. So obviously the popsicle bench, the fencing, there was some like really colorful recyclers. They were cool. I do understand why people didn't like it. If you've never been to the parks and you don't really, or maybe you've been to the parks and you don't really care for the parks, like having a parks themed Star Path is probably a bit of a slog. For me, as somebody who's been there and I can identify, like, oh, this is from there. Oh, this is from there. I loved it. However, there were things that were a little bit, well, controversial is too strong of a statement. Like having the magic bands. I think they were 3 separate rewards because we got 3 magic bands. That was, yeah, that skews the rewards a little bit. They could have been bundled. But we did get the adorable little squirrel, the popcorn squirrel. The only thing I don't like about the squirrel is it doesn't look like the popcorn is coming out of the popcorn bucket. It looks like the popcorn is coming out of the rear end of the squirrel. So I don't love that. I think if there could be improvements made there. And we did get a couple of nice like clothing items, but nothing wildly great. We got a couple of Aladdin items. I'm wearing the backpack and the jumper and stuff like that. So even though I really, really loved this, for now I'm gonna put it in Just Keep Swimming. But I know that the majority of people might put it in Bibbidi Bobbidi Basic or even Poor Unfortunate Souls. But for me, just because I love the parks, I feel like it's got to go there. Although maybe that's controversial that it's above the Lovely Monsters. I'm not sure. Moving on to Majesty and Magnolias. Now, this is kind of where I feel like Gameloft really started coming into their own. Again, I didn't get to do those first Star Paths. I've seen some of the rewards, and obviously I've bought some of the rewards from the premium shop since. As like a Star Path prior to Lovely Monsters, I can't really judge, so I don't really know how cohesive they were. I do think like the villains ones and like the Halloween ones were pretty cohesive. However, it really felt like Gameloft doubled down on bringing things with the update that fit the theme. So obviously we got Mulan with this Star Path, and they really leaned into that aesthetic with the items that we received. And I think that they did a great job. I think that they did a fantastic approach of making it all fit and start to feel cohesive. There were some really impressive items with this one. There were the recolored lanterns. I probably shouldn't follow impressive items with a recolor, but I really love the recolored items. I love the archway, the kind of floral archway we've got. We obviously got a couple of little blossom things with it. We also got some functional items. We obviously got the cookers. But I really love the outfits. We did get a mixture of male and female outfits. We got some hairstyles. We got some face paint. We got some backpacks. They really came together and pulled off a really, really nice Star Path for this one. The only thing that still annoys me a little bit about the Mulan Star Path is that we cannot rotate the kites. Still, after all this time, we still cannot rotate the kites. So I'm thinking maybe... I feel like this was like the real start of the Star Paths becoming a dream come true, I think. Maybe. This is really hard. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. Following Mulan, obviously we got Tiana, and that came with the Dapper Delight Star Path. I do think that they did a really great job with this one. Now, there's items from this Star Path that I've seen used kind of like throughout Dream Snaps since we got them. The gazebo, for one, of course, the fireflies, they were a game changer for Dream Snaps. So for that reason, I was kind of like thinking maybe Happily Ever After or a Dream Come True. The only thing I'm kind of like going back and forth from. Actually, it didn't feel like we got that much furniture with Dapper Delight, only because a bunch of the furniture items, of course, they were Tiana themed because of Tiana's kitchen, but like it was like 3 different countertops, then like the little bakery display that went on the countertops, the little tray that kind of like wheels alongside them. So the amount of furniture items felt less because they were individual. However, I did really love the outfits that we got, those sort of like new sea outfits. I think that's what they were called. And the flapper dresses and stuff like that. Well, I love the male ones, the female ones, that purple dress, I hated. The other one was okay. So yeah, actually maybe the outfit rewards are knocking that down a little bit for me because I was gonna put it in Happy Ever After, but I actually think probably a Dream Come True fits a little bit better because it was a really, really high quality star path. I love the water tower. I love the kind of carriage cart that we got for the train tracks and stuff like that. And of course, that was the first gazebo that we really got in the game. Plus, the Dapper Croc is super, super cute. So I don't think it's enough to put it in Just Keep Swimming. There was a couple of things maybe that I would have preferred in terms of outfits, but it's not enough for me to be like, that needed major improvement. So I think A Dream Come True fits pretty well. Now, the night show. The night show is going to be an interesting one because I think that I prefer this compared to a lot of the community. Now, don't get me wrong, when it first got announced, I was pretty confused. I was like, we're getting a music themed Star Path for Halloween, and I was not into it. I'll be honest, I was not into it. Mostly because I'd hyped myself up for a Halloween Star Path just because I know that the previous ones had been so good. But then when this one came out, I was just like, it wasn't that I was disappointed with how it looked. I was just disappointed that I didn't get a Halloween Star Path. That was the crux of it. However, you know what they say, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So I was like, okay, take a step back. Let me look at this objectively. Let me see what the items are. And I've actually really grown to love this one. There are things in it that I don't love, don't get me wrong. However, in terms of it being a cohesive star path, they were 100% on the money with this. Like, they did a great job at making sure that everything felt like it belonged in the star path. You know, some of the stuff from Lovely Monsters didn't feel like it belonged in that star path. And I'd even say the same for maybe A Day at Disney. However, you can't deny that everything from the Night Show star path definitely belongs in that star path. So I think for that reason, even though I don't love, even though I don't love Star Path as a concept, I can't deny that the items are pretty cool. I don't think it's enough to go in basic. I know that some people might put it in Four Unfortunate Souls just because they don't love the Star Path, and I get that. I totally get that. I would see why. I don't even think that I could put it in basic though, because the water jets, the flames, the lighting, all of those things have been really functional for me for Dream Snap. So I'm actually thinking it's not a dream come true, and it's certainly not happily ever after. But I think there's stuff to be improved. But actually, what we got, I really liked. And now I'm saying that, I'm kind of like, I do like the stuff from this one. But there was only really the archway and the lanterns from that I've used, and I don't even really use any of the outfits. So I think Just Keep Swimming is a good spot for the night show. All right, and our final candidate is, of course, Frost and Fairies. Now, this star path is currently running, of course. There's another, 30-something days? 30, 40 days, something like that. I love this star path. I think this is amazing. This might be the best star path that Gameloft have ever done. But I should make it clear that is in terms of rewards. I do feel like this is the grindiest star path that the game has ever had. I have put a video out on this previously. This is a very difficult star path, particularly when you get to the bonus rewards. If you haven't got that far yet, be warned, it does get super, super grindy. However, I do think that the rewards are definitely worth it. This is obviously the first star path where we have had those bonus rewards, and they called it, what did they call it? I think the ultimate star path, something like that. It makes a change to be able to have those items recolored and stuff like that. And not only recolored, they gave us like kind of different themes to them. I know that they're the same items, but they didn't just change the glass. They kind of changed like the wood and stuff like that. So they made it feel different. And of course, this was the first star path that gave us a house style. For that alone, it's got to go at least in A Dream Come True. So I am thinking, just because of the quality of the items, I think it's definitely at least a dream come true, but I'm kind of leaning, you know, towards happily ever after. And oh no, that was wrong. It's definitely not down there. I was going to put it back down here, but I don't think I can. So let me put it there a sec just while I chat. I think what really, really makes this star path is that we got all of the items super, super cohesive. I mean, I've made the kind of like wintry palace build that's on my channel with them. It looked incredible. I love how it turned out. The outfits, they were all super cohesive. I love the female. There was a kind of a male version. The jacket is sort of male. The only thing I wish we would have got like a more male focused outfit, I suppose, with it. But the clothing is give or take. You kind of like manage with it. But the ones that I did love, we got the wings with it, which were amazing. They were obviously Fantasia. I spotted that the other day when I rewatched it. We got like the diadem on top of the head. I guess it's a hat, but it's like a diadem or something that you wear as like a little crown. And then we obviously got the companions as well. I think this was, oh no, this was a dream style one. So obviously we got the fairy godmother dream style as well. I mean, saying all of that stuff, I don't know if it's just because we're in the middle of it right now or we're in the middle of winter. Maybe I'll reflect on it in 6 months' time when it's not winter. But for me, Frost and Fairies might be not only the best star path of 2024, but the best star path that the game has ever done. I don't know. What do we think? I'm quite confident with these rankings. I'm quite happy with these rankings. Looking at it again, I really didn't think I'd come into this. So when I started it, I didn't come into this with any plan. I hadn't thought about this in advance. I thought, I'm not even going to try and think about what I might do. I'm just going to do it when I record the video. That's what I'm doing now. And actually, I thought I would probably have put sort of like the night show down here. But looking at this, I think this is pretty accurate. All right, gang, that is it for this one. That is my ranking of all of the 2024 star paths. I do hope you enjoyed this quick little trip down memory lane with me. Remember that this is just my personal take. It's okay if your rankings look completely different. That is what makes these kind of videos so fun. Let me know down in the comments if you agree. Are we on the same page? Are we on completely different pages? Or are we in entirely different chapters? If you do want to make your own list, I've actually got the tier maker template linked in the description. Feel free to share your rankings in the comments or even on social media. Maybe you can jump on over to Discord and share them there as well. I would love to see how your thoughts compare to mine. Regardless of whatever you decide and whatever you think, I do think that it's been a great year for Star Paths. I think that Gameloft have really come into their own. I cannot wait to see what they have in store for 2025. I assume that they've already made their way through a number of them already, so we might be seeing some fun surprises, and fingers crossed, perhaps for an Aladdin-themed one as we approach the next free update. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and maybe subscribe to Oscar's Cozy Corner for more Disney Dreamlight Valley content. Until next time, take care, stay cozy, and I will see you in the valley.